family. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for joining Shy Williams with Shy Speaks. So, today is Dr. Martin Luther King Service Day. For me, it's such a valuable day for me. So, as I embark on educating, empowering, and inspiring the urban mind and the urban community. So, for me, I want to get on here and I want to talk about the significance of Dr. King having such a valuable being such a um, and valuable leader for our community and for all. Because one, he fought tirelessly for America to apply the laws freely, right, or equally and fairly. So for me, I value him because if it was not for him, would I be able to, attend a predominantly white college? Would I be able to purchase a home? Would I be able to be a business owner? You know, um, he has he has contributed so much to the Fair Housing Act, to voting rights, and played a large part of the civil rights movement. And it's a shame. I wrote this post yesterday. It's a shame that a person has to die in order to be appreciated and respected. And for me, as when I do my research and I learned about how he was treated during his era, and people didn't truly believe in him, and he was disrespected. And now today, he's glorified. He has streets named after him. He has parks named after him, buildings. You know, let's appreciate those who are paving the way for us now, while they're living, so that they can truly embrace it. Um, so, today's a service day. If you're not doing anything, there's multitude of events out there that you can get involved in. I encourage it, because if it wasn't for him and it wasn't for the service that he paved, will we be where we're at today? Do I think, we have reached the milestone, the finish line? No. There's still some issues that, we were fighting, or he was fighting, and they were fighting, our ancestors were fighting back in the day, 1960s, 1950s, that we're still fighting for today. Many people will say, oh, slavery was such a long time ago, to get over it. But when you have a womb, right? You have a womb, and it's constantly being opened, or being constantly being poked at. It's never given a chance to heal. How can you move on? How can you just allow that to be overlooked? So that's my take on when people say, oh, slavery was so long ago, you're not a slave, you didn't endure, you're not enduring what your ancestors endured. Okay, yes, I'm not in the field picking cotton and tobacco, correct, but that does not dismiss other other racial disparities that are going on today, around the world, and that people are dealing with today. Um, so for me, Dr. Martin Luther King, his legacy, his service empowers me. It empowers me to do what I do, to go out here and be a social justice advocate, especially as a former detective, knowing what I have experienced as a detective, what I have experienced as a double minority, being black and being a female. It empowers me to push our youth and our community along. It pushes me to help them to and inspire them to embrace who they are, and to love what they see when they look in the mirror. It helps me to empowers me to want to educate them about their history, so they know, okay, they're able to see, and they're able to see how things are today and compared to how things were in the past. And that is so important, because in schools, our kids are not being taught the education of African American history. So, a situation may occur and they don't automatically identify what is happening. It's immediately dismissed because of the information that they're being taught, being deleted and distorted out of schools. And I remember one student told me that, they had identified, a teacher identified a slave as an intern. So it's distorted, right? Distorted information. So for me, it's just essential because, in a sense, we're still fighting the same fight. Look at who's in office and the empowerment that he has given others to unveil themselves, taking off their mask and being able to be racist and have biases openly. So for me, I feel as though that Dr. Martin Luther King, his fight, his dream, we're still trying to make that happen. We're still trying to bring that to life, and also, I want to talk about some stuff that's going on in the media today in regards to Dr. King. Here we are, 2019, and I'm not sure you all ever heard about this, what's going on in the news, but in New York State, a meteorologist was terminated, because he referred to Dr. King as a coon. Excuse me. What he said was his attempt was to refer to the park, Rochester Park, which is one of the parks out of New York, and he was looking to refer to it as Dr. King because the park was in memory of Dr. King, so it was a tribute to him, named after him, and he referred to the park as Martin Luther Coon Park, and the park is called Rochester Park. There's a difference between coon and king. So for those who are not familiar with the terminology or the description of coon, coon can mean two different things. One, if it's a white person, they're pretty much when they use it, they're referring to you as an N-word. For black people, we pretty much calling you Uncle Tom when they use the term coon or the description of coon. So for me, I don't know what the meteorologist's intention was when he made the description, or he called Dr. King a coon or referred to him as a coon in his name. I don't know what his intention was, so I'm not going to touch base on that. But for me, what he said was his intention was, he said that it was a word jumble. Okay, I don't know if I agree with that, but I can't say whether that was his true intentions. What I would question is, okay, so you used the word. So now I'm asking you, okay, what are you occupying your space with, right? If the word coon can come off of your tongue, out of your mouth so eloquently, and you want to refer to it as a word jumble, what are you occupying your space with? Because the same scenario can happen with a child, right? A child spits in someone's face, a child curses, and we as an adult, we automatically are going to ask, okay, where are you learning that behavior from, right? It's learned behavior. Hi family, I see some of you coming in. It's learned behavior. So we're immediately going to question that child as to who are you around, who are you occupying your space with. So for me, there's no difference for that adult, right? Here you are, you are in the public's eye. You know that, you are in front of someone and you know what you are referring to, whether you took the time to go over your material or not. Again, the fact that it came off of your lips so eloquently, and even if it was a word jumble, again, what are you occupying your space with? What are you doing with your time? Why do you think this of him? How can you make this big mistake, right? This such an impactful mistake off of someone who is such a monumental figure. And so that was one out of New York State. Another incident happened very similar in St. Louis, and it was a news anchor, and he also referred to Dr. King as a coon. So that anchor was not terminated, but they both did apologize. So for me, when I hear that one was terminated and the other one wasn't, I don't feel as though termination is the answer. I just feel like when we terminate the person, all we're doing is just moving pieces around, right? Because he's going to get another job, right? And he may make the same mistake again. But what are we doing to change the thought process? Are we doing some cultural differences development? and I don't want to say training, because most people in organizations and agencies, they'll say, oh, well, let's just throw a training in there. For me, I think a training is a dog and pony show. A training is just a box that we check to say that we did it. And the person may end up making the same mistake again. And you want to have that piece of paper and say, oh, well, as the organization, we did our part. We conducted the training. We made sure that he or she went through the training. But for me, I think that it has to be some form of rehabilitation, right? Because this is a learned behavior. This is a preconceived notion. And how do we address it, right? Not just moving the person around, terminating them so they get another job and they make the same mistake. Dr. King being referred to as a coon in the media is not the first time. It didn't just happen in 2019. It has been going on for several years in different areas of the United States. So, moving the guy around and just terminating him is not the answer. And just doing a training, just to say that you've done a training, whether it's a sensitivity training, they say cultural diversity training, I don't agree with either of those. I believe it should be a cultural difference training, because for me, diversity just identifies the different ethnicities, right? Or different religions, different genders, okay? We're just identifying it. But we have to be able to, it's a Shy Williams from Shy Speaks. Who's that, Juneteenth? Oh, so who said what? You want to know about so the first person I was talking about was a New York State news anchor. He was a meteorologist. He said, while he was giving his segment on the weather in New York, he was referring to a park. It was a state park. Yes, the coon reference. So yes, it was a meteorologist. He said that in reference to Rochester Park, instead of referring to it as Rochester Park, he referred to it as Martin Luther Coon Park. And then also there was a news anchor in St. Louis. So there was a tribute that was being done at St. Louis University. And what he did was, instead of saying in remembrance of Dr. Martin Luther King, the news anchor said Dr. Martin Luther Coon Jr. So what they're doing is they're taking out the word King and they're putting in the word Coon. So if this incident happened, this is in the current events over the past month of this year, where the two news anchors, the meteorologist out of New York State, he used the word coon in remembrance of Dr. King, and also in St. Louis. Now, the New York State meteorologist was terminated. The St. Louis news anchor was not. So for me, I don't believe that it's just about, doing the training. We have to do the rehabilitation and the development. I look at it like when we do the trainings and we do the discussions, we're just closeting racism, right? As opposed to truly looking for a form of rehabilitation. Yes. So I'll tell you, Juneteenth, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'll tell you the guy's name out of New York State. But yeah, it was New York State. The gentleman referred to Dr. King. So his name is Jeremy Capel. So what he said was Martin Luther Coon Park when referring to downtown Rochester Park. And the other gentleman out of the St. Louis, it was a St. Louis University tribute that they're having for Dr. King. And what he did was, instead of saying Dr. Martin Luther King, he said Dr. Martin Luther Coon Jr. And Coon and King it's two different words. How is this a common mistake that is happening of others? Yes. Well, these people do not need rehabilitation. I think they need society as a whole to let them know this will no longer be accepted. Well, yes, they do need to know that doesn't need to be accepted, but also just terminating them is not fixing the problem, right? All he has to do is just get another job. Clearly, someone else is going to be able to hire him, right? He's a white man. He's a top meteorologist. He's going to be able to get another job. So if we don't really fix the problem and try to address where his preconceived notions is coming from, how he's learning this behavior, terminating him is just moving the pieces around. He's going to go somewhere else, and he's going to have that same mindset, that same mental capacity. So we have to try another method, as opposed to just allowing him to just move around and go somewhere else and push along his preconceived notions of racism, of racial remarks. Like, he's learned this behavior. He's not just saying, oh, this is, what he's saying is just a word jumble that he had. Okay, but how does that come off of your lips so eloquently? How does that come off your tongue so easily? Where are you learning this from? Like, what are you researching? What are you reading? Who are you occupying your time with? So I think, from a work setting, an employment setting, not just the dog and pony show, not just checking the box saying, okay, we're going to do cultural diversity training or insensitive training. That's just, that's what they do. They did it with the whole Starbucks, oh, we're going to implement a training for our employees. But that's just letting the media know and the public know, oh, well, we're doing something. It's just saying that we did something, but you're not truly caring about the outcome of it. Are you truly looking to change what your employees are doing and how they are having an impact on the community when they are interacting with others? You are right. This is how his upbringing in the end. He's an adult and knows that, right? Exactly. I agree. So I agree. He does know right from wrong. So that's why I say when he says, oh, it was just a word jumble from coon to king. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. But do anybody have any questions about that? Again, it was, in remembrance of Dr. King Service Day. Even still to this day, he's not truly respected, and, to the point where you can't even get the man's name right. It's a shame. It's a shame. And we do have to begin to, speak out about it. People always say, oh, we have to get over the past, the civil rights, the slavery. How can we, when the womb is constantly, that Band-Aid is constantly being ripped off, that womb is constantly being poked. You're not allowing that womb to heal. You can't just put a Band-Aid over it. You can't just put it in the closet and say that, oh, get over it. When things are constantly happening, continuously, out of disrespect, this blatant disrespect for, his legacy and what he has done. So on this day, there's a lot of events that's going on around your community. Get out, get involved. Dr. Martin Luther King Service Day. That's all I have. Anybody got any questions? But yes, it's just crazy what we're still going through. We're still fighting for in 2019. That's all I have for you today, family. I have to get ready. I have an event. Zai, I see you. I'll see you in a few minutes. If you don't have anything to do, I know I'm about to go to Philadelphia where we have, yes, exactly. Seven Figure Sister said how, in addition to the fact that the civil rights movement was less than 60 years ago, yes, so sad. Oh, you're welcome. But yes, y'all, enjoy your day. I'm on my way to Philly. I have a speaking event to do. Day of service. We got to put the work in. He put the work in. He was assassinated for the work in which he was putting in, and we got to keep going. We still have things that we're fighting for. I'm gonna do another live this week talking about the Housing Act with the Supreme Court judges. How we have 5 Supreme Court judges who are conservative, and they're kind of thinking about rewriting that. We're constantly on a battlefield. And sometimes they don't want to put the information in front of us. But all right, family, y'all have a good day. I'll talk to y'all soon.